is to know, from masterpieces to deep fried tacos. And if the movie sucks, you might hear them say, there's no telling where the guys will take you. Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, cause we already warned you. Better watch out, it's gonna ruin the plot. Real spoilers. Real spoilers. Real spoilers.
Broadcasting from the lush but not lavish studios normally, but not now, located in the basement of the O'Keefe Institute for Advanced Film Snarkitude. This is Real Spoilers, episode 802, Longer Legs. Sure.
Longest legs?
Longest Legs. Starring
third
Nicolas Cage as Donald Glover as Teddy Perkins.
Donald Glover? You mean Crispin Glover?
No.
Donald Glover?
No.
I said what I meant.
Donald Glover? Yeah, he's right.
Yeah.
Go look up Teddy
Go
Perkins.
look up Teddy
Tell me
Perkins
that's
and tell
not-
me I'm
Right.
wrong.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I don't get the reference. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah. You need to watch Atlanta, you racist.
I watched the first season, and I just didn't, whenever it came back, I just never picked it up again.
Oh, I love that show. It's so good. But
Yeah, I need to
very
watch
good.
it. It's a
Yeah.
great show.
Anyway, so we are broadcasting remotely, not because of COVID, just because of schedules. So, so let's go around the table and everyone can introduce themselves.
This is Joe, the stupid fucking cat.
Is that your nickname for yourself?
Yeah, that's my nickname now. Yeah, all I can see is like her just bouncing around in the
That's
background. That's
adorable.
not. It doesn't matter.
This is Kevin.
This is Matt.
And this is Tom. Hello, everyone. So before we dig into the movie du jour, let me knock out shameless plugs. Don't forget, we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn, wherever you find a podcast. You can find us while you're there. Be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review or a love letter for Joe. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Real Spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group. It's called the League of Show Shares because we are hoping you will share an episode. People who were kind enough to share an episode last week include Julianne Jordan, Chris Falls, Ralph Tribble, Travis T. Witt, Tom Dowdy, Chris Magic Man, Richard Krotzer, Gabriel Lugo, Taylor Ward, Ryan Burdick, Dissect That Film, Heather Sachs. Skirting the Brad Hyan rule, it's Matt Basler. Cinema Recall, Edit Photo Gamer, Spoiler Piece Theater, James Install, The Real Pete, Binge Movies, Nostalgia Cast, Mike and Oscar, Geek to Me Radio, Matt Neglia, Colby Mack, Ronnie Castle, and In Session Film, and Ryan Terry. So thank you very much for sharing the episode. We greatly appreciate it. And then, of course, don't forget our Patreon, patreon.com/Real Spoilers, where for $5 a month you get all sorts of bonus content, and we like you extra. And then finally, our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Real Spoilers. So
Oh my gosh, is there a prize for Tom? He got
I
it.
got it right.
He got it all.
I got it right.
Yeah,
Look at you.
I'd appreciate if we could get that beginning part down to like a multiple of 15 seconds. So I just know that I'll perfectly hit the end of it,
Are you saying you don't?
just one little skip.
You got to be
Just
careful.
I mean,
I understand
even
the
if
impulse.
it's like 3.
But you got to be careful because sometimes we go off on some really delightful tangents.
That is true.
during
You
that
know what? I
period.
would have missed the Madam Web talk, the new way that you guys open the podcast.
See?
With just a little touch and base on Madam Web. But I'm very excited for
Just
today.
checking in. Just checking in.
And I would never want to miss that. So you're right. Don't skip.
Yes, this is just a little life lesson for you. So,
we also have a review.
oh goodness, you want to read it, so it must be decent.
I mean, I'll read them if they're bad because those are also some good ones.
Some more slash
And
fiction
given-
about you?
Yeah, right. Given the political climate, sometimes we get some that are hilarious. This is a 5-star review from AZPiz number 1. It says, "This is a great and funny show that I have on constantly." That's it.
Oh, it's awesome.
No, well, thank you.
it.
See,
That's
they don't have
the
to be
one and
super
done.
long. If you're been
They
thinking
don't.
about
That's
leaving a review and you don't know what to say, you can just say something like that. And we've
No, and if you want to ask me a horror question, feel free.
yeah, and we've done enough of these that you really can have us on constantly. So
That is true.
Yeah.
That is very true.
we've done so many that a lot of them have been removed from online. That could just be
Honestly,
good taste.
That's also not a bad call.
Yeah.
People have asked me before. They're like, when should we, like, how many episodes do you have? I was like, well, there's probably about 900 if you do like the Patreon and all that stuff. Like, don't listen to the first 150. Like, just skip those altogether because those are terrible. We didn't really find we were doing
quaint.
There's
Not
something
terrible. They're just
they're not.
we like
I
to
just feel,
think
for
we've gotten
me-
better over time.
Yes, I feel like we found our groove like around episode 100.
But I mean,
And
if
then
you
we kept
compare
changing
it
the
to
format.
something like a Smartless or Conan O'Brien, then yeah. But we were doing this back
Well-
in 2013 was our first
2013,
real spoilers, so it's like that was pretty early on.
Movies just weren't good back then. So how
Yeah,
could the
well-
show?
No,
be
we
any
started
We
with Man
were-
of Steel.
Yeah, we
Exactly.
sure did. And then we followed it up with the Lone Ranger.
Oh yeah. Joe, did you? Can I? Because I wasn't certain. Did you answer the question fully?
I did.
Like,
I
what was
think
your,
so. So I think you can watch 4, 5, and 6 as its own like Tommy Jarvis saga.
But as like, is 5 canon? Yes or no?
I mean, I think it has to be because
What
he's
a
a
politician.
What a
He's a politician over here.
I think 5
Yes
has
or
to
no,
be in
canon?
canon.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think honestly, I think 7 is in canon because they not Carrie pulls him out of the water, which is where Tommy Jarvis leaves him in 6.
What
So
about
I do
the
think 5 is in
Halloween
canon.
Saturday morning cartoon adaptation? Is that
Oh my
canon?
god! Can I tell you how much I was actually just having a conversation with a friend of the show, Brian Spath, about wild rated R movies that somehow got a Saturday
I
morning
know.
cartoon.
They fascinate me.
Swamp Thing, Toxic Avenger,
Rambo,
Rambo,
RoboCop.
RoboCop.
yeah.
Yeah, the Terminator I think had a cartoon at one point.
Fat Albert.
Like well, we found out later.
Well, it's
that
based
that
on Bill
should've been-
Cosby, so I'm just
Yeah, right.
retconning it as rated R.
A
Inspiration.
whole
totally fair.
cartoon about body shaming. It's insane.
Yeah.
that's exactly what that is. But just like the way that they would be like, oh, we've got something, so we'll just turn it into kids love Rambo, the PTSD riddled Vietnam vet that ends up dying at the end of a book. No, we'll make it into a Saturday morning cartoon. Toxic Avenger is the wildest one. Like, if you've never seen that movie,
Well, that's the Toxic Crusader. Different guy.
sure, his name's Toxie. It's the same thing.
Different thing. Completely different.
I used to think Rambo was the craziest, and then I'm like, oh, wait, we live in America.
Correct.
And I'm like,
Yes.
and it actually makes
The
perfect
bottom
sense.
dollar.
We're,
Yeah, right.
We're lucky we didn't get like a Dirty Dozen Saturday morning.
Yeah, or a
cartoon.
Dirty Harry,
Yeah.
Harry one where he's like a space sheriff.
We kind of did get a Dirty Harry cartoon. It was called Sledgehammer.
That's true. That's a good point. Next thing you know, they're gonna be doing Nickelodeon's optioning Longlegs
Yeah.
for a Saturday morning cartoon.
I'm in.
So
Well,
speaking of
he's a
long
funny
legs, it's
guy.
the movie du jour. I guess let's dig in.
Man, we talked about it when we did Midsommar. I think we did that and Spider-Man in the same day,
Oh.
right? Like I think we did those back to
think
back.
so.
We did
Okay.
2 episodes, right?
Or you did a double feature or something. You had
I
to
did a
see it
double
back to
feature,
back, yeah.
and I made the mistake of seeing Midsommar first, and it fucked me up so bad that I was just like watching Spider-Man. I was like, I know I like this movie, but man, I am not in the right headspace to enjoy this movie. This Longlegs is very similar to that.
You
Where
watched
it-
Spider-Man after this?
I watched all 3 of them just to like wash
Okay.
my brain, but no. I walked out of that theater just being like, ugh. I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's a very good movie. But man, it did a number on me that I was not expecting at all.
Yeah, I loved
At
it. I
all.
thought it was great. It's hung with me for the past few days where I'm just like, man, it's Nicolas Cage's performance in this movie is so wild. Like
He is unhinged.
they've done something.
Oh, look at Tom. Tom's gonna unload here. Look at him. Look at him.
So he's essentially taken the Nicolas Cage thing, right? Like the memed Nicolas Cage, his noises and his performances, but he's taken them and turned them into a horror villain and made it scary. And like it's so unnerving and disconcerting because you're just like, what the hell? It's so weird, and with the score and the way it's filmed, where they don't show you his whole face, it's just very
I wish they would have stuck with that.
well.
Was
like,
he? Did he? Just backstage trivia. Did he meet any of the other actors in this film? Was he ever
I don't
on
know.
screen with
yeah,
anyone
the
else?
main character in an interrogation?
Oh, he's in the he's
Is
in the
he?
interrogation room.
I don't know that that's true,
think they shot
Kevin.
around?
Well, there's that stupid. Maybe I shouldn't say stupid. Maybe I'll let you make up your own mind. There's that ad where they're like, the main actress, the first time she saw Nicolas Cage, her heartbeat increased to 170. What you're about to hear is her real heartbeat. And they like show behind the scenes, and they show the scene play out, and you can hear. I don't think it's her real heartbeat, honestly. I don't think they mic'd up her heartbeat. Just on set went, hey, just in case your heartbeat
Just in case
increases
this really
a bunch,
freaks you out, yeah. Like you would
We're
think,
gonna-
then it wouldn't freak her out because she's like, "Oh, I'm about to see something freaky,"
Okay.
and then
You
she's
know
gonna be
what,
like,
Tom?
"Oh, I'm a professional actress, and it's a guy in makeup." Woof.
But I will say though, I don't think even in that they show them together, because
I was
they
just
show
thinking the
him
same thing.
slating Nicolas Cage, and then they cut to like the actual movie.
Yeah, and whenever you see, like
yeah.
in that interrogation scene, to the best of my memory, whenever you see him straight on, you see her straight on, and it toggles back and forth. And the only time you see her and him is like you see him from behind, you see him face down on the table, but you don't see his face. I don't know that he's actually in any scenes physically with
Why do you
anyone in
think
this
that?
movie.
Why do you think that is?
Because they had him for 3 days.
oh,
That's my theory. Is that like it's like okay, you've got me for 3 days, and they just shot everything. Like even when he's on the side of the highway, and then they cut.
There's nobody
It's on
there.
their side,
They cut to the cop that's like, we're here to arrest you because we're tough cops, and like they're not in the same scene. Like he's standing on the side of the road with nobody anywhere around him, and then it's like all the police officers are.
You see him. They do a shot where it's him straight on at the bus stop.
Yeah.
But then you hear the sirens coming from either
Yeah.
side, and they show different shots of the cops
I
coming
don't
down the road
think
on one
he
side.
was actually on set. For
You
any
might
of
be
this.
right. You might be right.
I'm not sure if he was on set for nothing except for that interrogation scene. I still feel like there's just no reason for her to be close to him. So he could have not been there, but I feel like he was in that scene. But at the end of the day, I mean, they made a really effective use of him. If they had him for a few days, I don't think that ruined the movie. I mean, it's all about the killer being elsewhere and your main character trying to track him down. I mean, I think it was effective.
I didn't think about it while I
Yeah.
was watching it, I guess. So.
I guess I thought
It
about it
is-
because I didn't like it, and so
There it is.
I was just like, well, how come he's never really with anybody? Like
Well, I think they do kind of say that there's.
I think you
that
see him in the
he's-
hardware store for
You
real
do,
with
for
that
sure.
girl, but
Yeah.
but almost everything else, he is never
Man, I love
actually
that-
in frame with another actor.
That girl's reaction, where she was like, "Dad, that creepy guy's back," and then which I like.
think you
but
see him in the opening scene with the little girl who is another
that
actor.
was one of the
And it's
most
creepy.
unnerving
I'm not so
scenes.
sure you do. I'd have to go back and see it again, but I'm not
He
sure
leans-
that you do.
Well, I guess you don't. To your point, Tom, you don't see it is shot for one shot is from the girl's perspective, which we
Yeah.
will learn is the main actress, and then it's shot from her perspective, right? Where you can only
Right.
see from like his chest down,
Right.
No, you see his mouth,
And-
right? He goes,
But I mean, that's
but
it's
you
a
don't.
makeup.
But you see the
know,
mouth from
but-
her
well, that's his
perspective.
performance.
Like
Like,
she didn't
you don't
give
see
the
her at
camera,
the same
right?
time.
Like she's not actually filming that.
but that's 100% his. I mean, you can tell it's
7
Nick Cage. You can
But
tell it's not
he's
ADR.
not on screen with her. Is my point.
Oh.
Right. She's saying that the girl isn't even there. Like that's a shot from the girl's perspective.
It will be interesting.
I mean,
Okay,
I don't.
Either way,
Oh, you
It
think
happens
the
so
girl's a
frequently in the
figment
film
of
that
his
like it's all I could
imagination?
think about. Is
Interesting.
No.
is like he's not actually on set with any
Well,
of these people.
so if they got him for
For 3
scenes
days,
and they
though, you're-
didn't have him with anyone else, I think the stuff he filmed was great. Like, I mean,
Oh,
it's-
and then like the performance, it's dog. I fucking hated every minute of it.
interesting.
I
I
knew
loved
it.
it.
I knew it was coming.
It was so cheesy, over the top. Like there's like this character's probably supposed to be what? Let's call it 60. Like
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Sure.
in 60 years of this guy's next level nut baggery, like nobody was like, hey, I think this serial killer guy might be a serial killer. Did anybody ever think of that? Like he's so like scream serial killer that of course
It is- he's
everybody's gonna
definitely-
think he's a serial killer. Like
he's the comparisons that this is getting is to a lot of Silence of the Lambs, which I get.
Except I
There's a
believe
difference,
Hannibal Lecter could navigate the world without anyone figuring out that he's a serial killer.
But you know, this
But you could
movie-
also believe
the devil. The
Yes, I was
devil's on
gonna
his
say,
side.
but you
it's
could
about
also
satanic
worship.
It's power.
which is
It's-
another thing that pissed me off about this movie.
I did
Why
not
are you
like
so
the ending
mad
of
at
this
movie. I don't
Because I don't like
understand.
it.
He's
Well,
As
also,
a-
look,
I also-
like, because Satanic Panic was total bull, and it ruined a lot of people's lives. So to make a movie to basically set in the time frame of the Satanic Panic and
They
be
d-
like,
yep,
oh, but
yep.
it was real, like, nah, that doesn't sit well with me.
I did like that. I did like that they didn't have to tell us what year they were in. They were just like, oh, there's Clinton behind the desk. Okay, so we're like,
Okay,
in
I get the Clinton behind the
93.
desk, but like the farm family that just randomly has hung a picture of Nixon in their house to establish the time frame, like.
Oh,
Like the picture of Clinton, like, okay, you work in a government office, you hang a
Yeah.
picture of the president. Like, that's a very normal thing. But like, people don't hang pictures of, well, maybe now they're.
I know, easy,
but
easy.
Normal, sane people only, like, no normal human beings don't hang a picture of the president in their house. And then like, the only exception I can think is like in the '60s, I think a lot of people hung pictures of Kennedy. That if they were Catholic, because that was really important to them.
Oh, sure.
But like to hang
What
a
if they
picture
were a
of Nixon
Satanist?
and like
That's interesting. Yeah, I
and
don't
then
know.
like
Did you say Nader?
so what's the method here, farm guy? Like when Nixon's done, you're going to hang a picture of Ford? Is that what we're supposed to think? Like you just
I was like,
always
no,
have a picture
you pay
of the
attention to the
president up in your house? Like
yeah, you can tell you hated this movie because you're nitpicking to the nth degree.
hanging a
Look,
picture of the
I-
president in your home is
I
weird.
didn't even notice it or remember it. That was such a small. I mean, what did they walk?
Well, because it's
by it and there was a
establishing
picture?
time. Like it's
but-
hanging up in the same scene where he takes an axe to the lady in the farmhouse.
Well, I think to me, what I will say is I don't think you're wrong, Tom. I do think the picture of Nixon is a little ridiculous. But I think Osgood Perkins, who we have talked about, have we talked about him before?
I don't think so.
No.
Just that he's Anthony Perkins' son.
I mean, so he's Anthony Perkins' son, who
Played Norman
was
Bates.
pretty famously
Both of
Norman
them.
Bates, and got both of
He
them.
was
Both of them
apparently-
play Norman Bates.
he was apparent.
Oh, when did Osgood Perkins play Norman
He
Bates?
played him in a flashback in Psycho 2.
Oh, interesting.
Apparently, he was in Legally Blonde.
He was the nerdy friend
So
in
that's
Legally
kind
Blonde.
of funny that his trajectory of like, hey, I'll just be a regular actor, and then now I'm going to do crazy horror movies.
Never mind. Well, I will say, I think I was listening to a couple of Psycho like retrospectives. I think there's a Criterion, whatever version of Psycho I have has a lot of like extra features on there. Originally, like Hollywood kind of wanted Anthony Perkins to be this like
Leading
Warren
man.
Beatty,
Yeah.
Warren Beatty style actor, and he did Psycho, and then that was it. Like he kind of got typecast as that character, and he never really got away from it.
I gotta
Again,
send
we've
you
talked
the
about
video I sent Tom, and he probably didn't watch it, but about old Hollywood
Sounds
and
like
like
me.
the hit, like people hiding they're gay and the stuff because
Oh,
Anthony
yeah.
Perkins
I don't
was-
think he came out until
I mean,
Until
right at the
much,
tail end of
much
his life,
right?
right?
But so
Yeah.
so this video
pun
is about him
intended.
hiding it and the other actors that he dated and they were hiding being gay and it's a whole thing. It's an excellent video. I'll try to post the video essay, but his life was so interesting and they did want him to be a leading man and and they kept pairing him up. Studios used to put these actors with a female actor who was popular and make this Hollywood romance and they could publicize it. And so they kept trying to,
I mean, like Joe Manganiello and Sofia Vergara.
I don't know if
That wasn't that. Okay.
But anyway, so it shows how they would pair each actor up with this actress, but then like he was really in a relationship with this guy, and so they would do things as couples, but really the guys were together and the women were.
Well, that's interesting.
Just watch
Psycho's
it.
gone woke.
But anyway, I think he had a really tough
Unbelievable.
time in Hollywood because he had to be, he couldn't be himself. He had to pretend to be someone else. And
Who just came out and said something about that is Matt Bomber. Matt
I'm
Bomber,
sure, yeah. Oh, the
He
Superman.
just said he was supposed to be Superman in I guess it would have been whatever was leading up to the what's his name, Superman Returns. That was supposed to be he's like, I had a 3-picture deal and then I got outed and they pulled the deal. And that's 2006.
I hope it was pay or play.
I hope it was too,
Yeah.
but I mean, like, that's 2006, I think. So it's like it's not even that long ago.
Yeah.
That Warner Bros. is like, no, you can, and then he was the voice of Superman. But
That's the same.
Yeah, I think it kind of. I mean,
Hey,
you got to play the character, sort of.
You guys, you've seen Silence of the Lambs, right?
I sure have.
I wonder if
Now
this
tell me if
director
this
has.
tell me if this would have made it better to you. If at the end we find out that Hannibal Lecter is Clarice's dad.
It would not surprise me if Thomas Harris wanted to write that book.
Because I'll tell you, man.
Given the way Hannibal goes, it's like, oh, okay, you're wackadoo.
Here's the thing that's been happening to me with movies lately is these third act just like, what if we ruined it? What if we made it not good anymore? And I guess I don't want to spoil anything that you've recently talked about, but it's the same way I felt about a recent movie you talked about, that just a third act, like, what if it was dumb, though? What if, like, it actually was very stupid?
I know where you're going, but I have to disagree with the mystery that this one sets up.
You don't have to. You don't.
The mystery.
What mystery?
You could just agree.
There's
What do you mean?
one other
guess-
person in the movie.
The thing
There's
me,
there's two reveals. There are two kind of reveals.
So, the mom. Okay, hold on. Let me. Oh, and
Hold
a
on,
lot of this.
before we
and
do
a lot
that.
of
Hold on,
this-
before we do that, I want to say I did not like at all the supernatural twist.
Oh, I would have loved it.
Did not
this
like it.
Whole movie just had like a little like, ooh, is it supernatural? It's a little
If
taste.
they
it's a little,
just allude to it.
in the beginning, right? She has this precognition that a killer is in this house, and it turns out he is, and she was right. And then they do a test to see if she is psychic with the FBI, which there is a cool part where they show an upside down triangle and she says father, and that's kind of a neat tie-in to later, but not neat enough for me. Anyway. But she says, I only got half of them right. They're like, wow, you're psychic. And she's like, well, I missed half of them. I got half of them, but I missed half of them. And I think if we would have kept it like that, just like, is she just very
Intuitive,
or is it actually
Just luck.
stuff, psychic stuff? That would have been cool. I think ultimately going like, no, there's black devil gas in these balls, and that's how he gets in you. And I was just like a little bit like, okay, well,
I think
I
once
hate
you-
to say this. I almost want to say the opposite, but he's 100% right. Yeah.
I do. I don't disagree at all.
put it on the scoreboard, Kevin.
One of the things that I think this is a weird reference, but the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street is that whole premise is they allude to the fact that the families in Springwood think Freddy Krueger did something, but they give you this element of like, did he though? Like, did he actually do it, or is it just a misunderstanding? Is it a mistake? Is it whatever? And that's why he comes back and starts killing the kids on Elm Street. The problem with that movie is they tell you that he did it. He really did it.
Very
and then
explicitly.
He's a very, very bad guy. It's like, well, that takes all the fun out of this. Like, that's all right.
Which, and not to go on a tangent, would have been a really smart choice for Nightmare on Elm Street, because you like Freddy, and it's really hard to like Freddy, even in the original
He's a
series,
child molester.
because there's certainly implications that he's a
Yeah.
child molester.
Right.
And that would have made it where you could have like rooted for him. Like he got
Yeah, if he was wrongly accused and he was wrong and he was innocent the whole time,
He's right to be
You're like,
upset.
he's right to be
Yes.
as Matt. Look, he's got Freddy in the background. Matt has
He's
pro
there.
Freddy.
So
Well, hold
Matt,
on.
he's
But
pro
I think
child
this is-
molester.
He's
Well,
hero.
Hold on,
Yes, that's what I'm
hold
saying. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
But,
I
like,
do
it's-
think that this suffers from the same thing.
I think, like, from a direction standpoint, I think this movie's really good. I think it looks good. I like the mood of this movie. I think the screenplay is dumb and not near as smart as it thinks it is. And I think that Nicolas Cage is awful. And
I think Nicolas Cage is definitely like, hey, you know how Buffalo Bill was kind of subdued and like doesn't really go. You see him go crazy like twice. I feel like Nicolas Cage is like, I can do it the whole time.
I think
I could just go wild the whole time.
I think he's channeling Tiny Tim. I think he looks like Tiny Tim.
Oh, big
I think
time.
he's-
looks like Teddy Perkins.
Yeah,
He doesn't play
I
Tony
think that
Perkins.
he's like Tiny Tim, but if Tiny Tim was a rocker. So the backstory that Oz Perkins said is that he's supposed to be an old heavy metal, like Satan worshiping, like rocker, and that's how he got into whatever the occult is. And so,
Okay,
So
I
I'm
gotta
gonna
pump
call I'm gonna call timeout
whoa,
on
whoa, whoa,
that.
pump the brakes. Let's do the math on this. It's the early to mid '90s, and heavy metal would have been invented when he was like 30. Like,
No, I mean you could say. Let's see if we're saying that he's
like
60,
in the '60s.
He
you
loves
could say that,
T-Rex.
like those like like those satanic like metal bands.
I really think like Black Sabbath.
That's I was
is-
thinking like even harder than Black Sabbath, but I think you're on
Black
the right
Sabbath
track.
is
So
probably
that's
like the
70s.
first metal band.
Yeah.
Like, maybe Iron Butterfly, but like the rise of metal is like the late 70s, early 80s. So like this guy would have grown up listening to fucking Dion. Like he wouldn't have grown up listening to. He'd have been 32 when Black Sabbath came out.
He got way. He
Whoa.
found it. He got way into
When
it.
is the first time that he starts? Like, when is she? How old is she supposed to be? 30. So it would have been the late mid 60s when she's a little girl, and he's already been killing. I don't think she's the first one, right? Like he's
She's
been
not the
doing it
first
for
one.
a while. So I mean, maybe he wasn't a kid or anything, but I guess if he was 30 or 20s and he was into whatever this metal was, I'm not saying
I
he
think
was a kid.
there-
Some people keep an open mind into their 30s, Tom. Maybe that you shut down and decided who you were, But people develop, people grow, especially
Serial
weird
killers.
freaks.
I guess the hardest part that I have, especially with like your guys' reception about the demonic stuff and the cult, like you guys love movies like The Exorcist, and you love movies about supernatural stuff. You love The Conjuring, you love ghosts, you love this stuff. I don't understand why, because it has to do with devil worship and there's a demon. Like,
So
what makes
because
this one bad?
so I will
Hey,
tell
I
you,
love devils and
it-
demons. Whoa, 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 whoa.
It's not.
think-
But why
It's
is
not
that
that. It's
dumb?
not
I
that it
don't
makes
get-
it. It doesn't makes it bad.
It's
because this is set. This is being set and portrayed in the real world, right? Like this is. I think it's one thing to look at the The
The
Conjuring.
Conjuring and The
You have to-
Exorcist
the
is in
Conjuring-
the real world.
But those
The
are
rules of that
exaggerated
universe.
They
stories.
set up the
Rosemary's
fact that
Baby.
I think the
don't
problem
understand.
is if it's going to be an element of the movie, it needs to be a bigger element of the movie. Otherwise, it just feels like a plot device.
I think here's my thing. The movie, it's like this big mystery, right? And mysteries in movies are very dangerous because it's all about the answer, and if the answer's not satisfactory, it can kind of ruin the whole movie for you, right?
Right.
And this is like, how's he doing this? What's he doing? Wow, I can't wait to see all these puzzle pieces fit together. And then
And
it
she
seems,
mentions
in a
the
sense,
Book of Revelation. I think there's clues that it has to do with. There's a
Oh, for
literally
sure.
a demon with glowing eyes in corners
But-
of the room. Like they're in the movie.
But like a lot of how he does it is, the devil helps him. Like it's just
It's
Kind
a
of-
plot device. Like
it
whenever
makes
they
you
get
think of,
stuck,
like,
they're like the devil.
It's why I don't like wizard movies. I don't like wizard movies because they'll be like, "Oh
The
no, how do we
Wizard?
get out of the
You
hole?"
don't like The
and they'll be
Wizard?
like, "I like the
It's The
wizard."
Wiz.
They'll go like, "Oh, how do we get out of this hole? Good thing we have the getting out of the hole spell or whatever." And like,
It's
so
the sonic
but what I'm
screwdriver.
saying,
The devil is the sonic screwdriver.
the thing is like what is she's not a nun, she's a nurse or whatever.
Well, she is. She said she's a nurse for. So okay, I want to touch on that real quick. It is a weird
Touch
moment.
on that nurse.
Hey now.
Hello,
Where
nurse.
Alicia Witt, who is an actress that I've watched for a very long time, is now playing like older women, and I was
Well.
like, "What's happening?" Like
You're getting
I remember
old.
she
You're
was
not
in-
a young
I
man
know,
anymore,
I
Joe. I
know,
hate to
I know.
break it to
It
you.
was definitely a moment where I was like, "Oh my god, we have reached the moment." Where people movies that I've watched in the 90s, now these actresses who are still around, good for them, are now playing like older women, and like in old lady makeup. So yes, her mom.
And you don't think that older women should be allowed to be in movies?
no, it just freaks
is
me
what
out and
you're-
makes me feel
older
old.
women
That's
freak
what-
you out.
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
gotcha.
She was
You
the
think
urban legend.
Sydney
You
Sweeney
probably
should
saw
have
her.
played the
Yeah,
mother?
she absolutely. She was an urban legend. She was in Law
So
and
you
Order.
grew
She
up
was
as
in all
a
kinds of
kid,
stuff.
like you saw her in these movies, and
Yeah.
she aged
And
along with you.
we might be the same
Right,
age,
that's what I'm
and that's the
saying.
other part.
Right, you had a crush on her when you were a kid.
Oh,
You're like,
I will.
Still do. She's still
Yeah.
beautiful.
I mean, when
like,
she
not
first
in this movie, but
went in there and was like, "Hello, mother," and I'm like, "What? That's your mom?" I mean, they look
They aged her up.
Like
they put some makeup
sisters,
on her, and yeah, right.
No,
That's your mom.
There was a difference more than sisters.
I think there might only be like a 10-year difference.
I'm not saying,
in.
I'm not saying they're 2 years apart.
So again, just all things being relative, and again, actors play different ages all the time. But Alicia Witt was born in '75. Maika Monroe was born in 1993. So that's an 18-year
so it's possible.
difference. My mom's 18 years older than me. That's
I
the
will
same
also
age
say
difference.
they wanted her to play 2 radically different ages, so they probably
That is
picked
true.
an actress
Right,
that
right,
landed
That's
in
a
the
good
middle, so they
right.
can like age her down realistically and age her up realistically.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
But the thing, one of the mysteries
Gotta
is
get the
like,
plot
there's
soon,
no,
guys, but keep
there's
going.
no physical evidence that he's in these houses. These
Correct.
families
We
seem
know
to
that there's the
kill-
letters.
kill themselves, right?
Right.
But then ultimately you're telling me that this nurse shows up, brings this doll with a ball in its head that makes the family kill themselves. She gets covered in blood. She's puking in the driveway. She's driving her own vehicle, her very noticeable blue Volkswagen. And nobody sees any of that. And then I guess the answer is the devil. Like what? Clouds? I don't know.
So this is okay. So I don't think you're wrong. I think you're absolutely right. I think that I do like the idea of Blair Underwood, who I haven't seen in Lord knows when. I can't remember the last time I saw
great,
that guy.
man. He's got a presence.
He's very
doesn't he?
good.
Like,
I liked but he's doing his best Jack Crawford.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, that's the character that he's playing. Except Jack Crawford didn't kill anybody. Spoilers for this movie. But I like them working I like that they bring the new. This is. I mean, I'm telling you, it is exactly like Sounds of the Lambs.
So this movie is Sounds of the Lambs, Seven, Zodiac. I think all
For
wrapped up into.
Yeah,
big
yeah. But I
influence
think
on
the
the film.
plot points, right, where they bring in the new FBI agent to get a second look at the case, and she breaks the case open, and then ends up on having this weird connection to the killer.
Okay, so let's get into the plot because we've got to. So the reason they bring her onto this case is because she's in the FBI. They send out teams of 2 to look for a killer, right? Is that what it is? There's a child.
Yeah, there's a killer on the loose. And they're basically door knocking.
So they're canvassing
going
the
door
neighborhood,
to door,
and she has some kind of premonition, and she tells her partner that one, and he's like, "The hell are you talking about?" She's just like, "That one." He's like, "All right, I'll go check it out." And I thought that was a great surprise kill, like just the fact.
I
that
thought
it
we were
came
gonna.
out
I
of
thought we were
nowhere.
gonna get Nick. I thought we were getting
yeah.
Nicolas Cage from the jump.
Right, which was I thought.
I thought we were gonna have
twist
him.
That it wasn't him. It was another possessed family member, like we're talking about. These families get possessed. So she goes to the door, or he
Oh
goes. to
no, I don't think.
Oh no!
so.
That's not a possessed family member.
I
That's
think he was
the
just
killer
a
they were looking
random
for.
different killer.
Oh, I
Nothing
thought
to
that,
do with Longlegs. I don't think so.
You don't
anyway.
think
No, that
he
had
was
nothing to
like
do with
the
Long-
dad?
no.
With this, it just okay. I figured
I didn't
that
take
he,
it that way. For whatever
I figured
that's
he
worth.
was. I thought by the end, I didn't at first, and I thought by the end it was like, oh, he was a dad that just killed his family, and he was getting ready to kill himself.
No.
There's tarps up. Okay.
Because I mean, if you look at that house that they go into, it's all covered in plastic. When the dads start killing the families, it's completely off the. Like, there's no prep, right?
Okay.
Like,
That's
he
true.
just go. The dads just go.
See,
for it,
I
and
was
then-
reading it as her premonition only had to do with things surrounding Longlegs, and the reason that she had that revealed to her was because of her connection to the doll.
That's fair. That's
Like,
a fair.
how I
That's a
read
fair
it, but
thing.
If I mean, it could be totally wrong.
But
then.
I do think ultimately it was the devil pointing her to that.
Well,
to
she
get
is
her
obviously
assigned.
has some kind of connect. Yeah, right. That's a good point too. If it
Well, yeah,
wasn't
because
that
we'll get into that, but she's still connected to him because her ball wasn't destroyed,
right,
Right.
so it is guiding her, and that's a good point, Matt. That even if he wasn't,
which is a ridiculous thing to say out of context.
oh, right.
Like, if you don't know anything about this movie, that makes no sense.
But I like that though. That even
Women
if
can
that
have balls now. It's
Yeah, right.
that killer, even if he's not connected to the other stuff, if the devil was guiding her to be assigned to this case, to Longlegs, the connection and all that. So either way, they take her into interrogation, and I mean, or like this test or whatever to see if she does have.
They start running Ghostbusters
yeah,
tests
do you
on
have
her.
these psychic premonitions? And she gets, I think, 7 out of 12 right or something. And she's like, "Oh, it's okay. I missed 5," but they're like, "But you got 7," something like that. Like, you still got a ton,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And so then she gets assigned to work this case with Blair Underwood, and that's how she gets to be a part of this.
Did he get
Longlegs.
Me Too'd? Did he get in trouble?
I don't.
Or did he just, like, just go away?
I'm not sure. I don't recall.
Was he on a? Oh man.
His
All right. It doesn't
IMDb
matter.
said he's been working in 23, 21, 20, 19.
Oh, okay, good.
So I don't think so. But
Okay.
anyway, so that's how she gets assigned.
Yeah, and then she starts. I mean, she kind of. This is a deep cut, but she kind of Will Grahams it. Where if you get that reference, good for you. Where she kind of goes into
don't?
these. Well, I'm gonna explain it
For the
she goes-
listeners, what if you didn't?
You need to watch Manhunter because it's excellent.
Both Manhunter is amazing. She goes into these houses and then she starts piecing things together. Right? Longlegs leaves these Zodiac style codes, and there's no physical evidence that there's anybody else in the house besides him. So is it Minka Kelly? No. It's a Minka.
Maika Monroe is
Maika
the
Monroe.
actress.
Maika Monroe.
She's in.
Who is the?
It
She's
Follows.
It Follows. She kind of. You think again? We've talked about this before. Like this level of autism as a superpower, but we find out like that's kind of how they're playing her. But there's obviously something else going on that we find out later.
And that's why I think this movie, like, they plant all these little clues along the way, and at the end of the movie, and you find out what's going on, there's something off about her because she is still basically half possessed by the devil.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. I'd like to see it a second time and go back and see how the actions she has or the things that she does. You know, I mean, knowing what we know, you're going to watch it from a different viewpoint of, you know, why she is the way she is.
Well, we should say that there are the reason 666 is the thing. The upside down triangle is like there's the Antichrist, there's the beast of the sea, and there's the beast of the land. And I think obviously Nicolas Cage is the Antichrist. I think Alicia Witt, who is the mom, is the beast of the land, and I think the beast of the sea is the girl. I think that's right.
The main character?
But
I mean, they
maybe,
definitely,
I
the
think.
three of, like, if you're talking about this triangle and he uses that and he takes things from Book of Revelation and all that. But, like, at the end of the day, if you look at it, you've got him and the mom and the daughter, right? So, like, the three of them are the ones that are essentially spoilers, but, like, in the end, they're all playing a part in this thing, and they make up the triangle, and it's all, like, equal points drawn from one to another. So, you know, I think
and like the
interesting.
murders happen 6 days prior or after the birthday. Like there's
They
all
make
kinds of
a
different.
triangle if you lay the dates out.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Which
I
felt
mean,
a little
whatever.
contrived.
It
If you
felt
write these
very
numbers
Seven.
in a certain way and then map it, like it's like, well, yeah. I mean, if you write anything in a certain way
Right.
and then map it, you could theoretically end up with.
Well,
And I
January
like
through December, 12 months. You have 30 days between 28 and 31 days. I mean, if you lay it out, that's, I think, pretty normal to say January 1 through 31, you know, and then you map it. It's a triangle. Like, I don't think it's not like she's like, I drew a dot in A3 and then C9. And I mean, it wasn't like totally made up. It was
So what you're saying is, this is a
There's something
secret
to it.
sequel to Battleship.
yes, exactly.
Yes.
He sunk her
yeah.
battleship.
He
That's
sunk that
exactly
battleship.
right.
So yeah, this entire time they are tracking him down, and I think there's another murder that happens like while they're working the cases.
yes.
And then while our main character is working these cases at home, we kind of Longlegs pays her a visit, which I thought was a very well done, creepy scene.
I agree.
Where she's working these codes, she's talking to her mom, she hears something in the background, she goes to check it out. She can't see anything when she goes outside. She comes back inside.
And the relationship's
letter.
weird, we should say, though, with her and the mom, right? And now we have
Yes.
an understanding of why things are strange. But at
Yeah.
first, you're just wondering, like, why are they so distant? Why is something so off with the mother and the way she says things? But again, like, if you think about...
Well, I think when you watch it the first time, until you get to the reveal, you just think that she has dementia.
Right. Something you just
Yeah.
think
I
is
think,
off
though,
mentally or whatever. But I love that there's more at play. That, I mean, the mom's up to some weird stuff. And in the end, she's protecting her daughter and doing this stuff. It's...
Well, in the process of protecting her daughter, she's lost her mind.
Yeah, because look at what she's seen, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Sure.
So that's why she's off. And so again, I just think it's interesting that the mystery of it. I think there's a lot of these different little mysteries. You know, who's doing what? What's up with the mother? Why are these families killing all these? You know, just following it and the clues. Like that's detective stuff. Doing the calendar and all that. I was totally invested in solving this mystery.
For
the
sure.
ride
But
was
that's
really
what I'm
fun.
saying. I was all in, but then when every answer kind of feels like it's devil magic, that's a bummer to me. And then I do also feel like I'm not trying to do like movies are bad now, but I do feel like I'm seeing a lot of movies where things can't just like. Would it have been terrible if the mom was just weird? Like I feel like there can't. It's always got to tie in a way that sometimes I'm like, well, now it's ridiculous.
I think it's
that
creepier.
every single.
I think it's creepier if she's doing all this and it's not devil magic, right? That she just fell under the spell of this nut job.
That's what I think.
Because
I agree with you
sometimes
100%.
48% of the population does.
But, you know, to the same, like on the flip side of that, though, and I agree, like sometimes we watch stuff and we're like, oh, you think it's going one way, and they're just like, oh, no, they were crazy. Like, that's it. Like, and we're like, oh, man, that's nuts. They made it. Like, they do that sometimes, but I don't want that all the time either. I guess what I'm saying is, why can't we have a movie with as many of these dumb nunsploitation, whatever, you know, nun horror movies and all these different things with the religion, all this stuff? Like, why can't we have a movie that the mystery does contain a supernatural force? Like, I just don't get why that is all of a sudden ruining a movie.
Because I don't, it's not ruining it, but I
it
will
does
say
to Matt, it ruins the third act with its supernatural, ruins the movie for him. I don't understand.
It brings
I think
it down.
that
I enjoyed
that the whole movie though. You can say that Longlegs is inspired by the devil. His killings are satanic in nature, but and there's no supernatural element to anything at all throughout the entire movie for the most part. But when they use a shotgun and they shoot the head of one of these dolls, and the silver ball in the doll's head bursts, and this little puff of black smoke comes out, and then all of a sudden everybody's okay, like the curse has been lifted. That is a big tonal shift in a movie.
A tonal shift where there's a devil guy in the corner throughout it? Like, I don't understand. Like, there's signs.
But
I mean, I think
but
you can still do that stuff too, and just have it be like, is the main character going nutty too?
That's true. Now, if
she's a little nutty.
If you did allude to it and it leaves you questioning in the end, I do think that's a very interesting way to go too, where I do like that, where it's not finite, right? Where you could be like, was it supernatural or were they going
right?
crazy?
That's
now,
what I wanted.
Right.
Well,
Okay,
and
that's
I'll say too, right? Because like part of the whole mystery is like, so Longlegs isn't even there, and somehow this family kills themselves.
Right.
And that's a cool mystery. And when the answer is it was a spell that does that, that's just kind of like, oh, well, sure. I mean, yeah, of course.
But that's,
I don't know.
I mean, some movies are fairy tales. Some movies are, I mean, it's a supernatural thing. I think it's creepy to think this girl, every time she went to visit her mother, there was a serial killer, evil Geppetto.
I agree with you
for sure.
No, that I
dolls,
think
right? Like, that's creepy.
I think that is terrifying.
I think what Matt's responding to is the fact that when they're building something around the mystery and you're trying to solve it, and their answer to the mystery is not, if you'd applied logic to this, you could have unpacked this mystery like an Agatha Christie story, or in the case of this movie, maybe more like, let's say, Encyclopedia Brown. But instead the answer is like, well, you didn't figure it out? Well, hold on to your hats, people.
And I guarantee you
Magic.
there's a Reddit post of someone being like, I totally called it from the beginning. And it's like, no,
Of
you
course.
didn't.
But
Of
I
course.
like to try to figure it out, and we hate it when there's like in the last movie when answers are so obvious. That's a bummer too, right? And so in this one, I didn't figure it out, so it kept me guessing.
Well-
When I got the reveal, I'm like, wow, I didn't see that coming. I mean,
But it feels
just,
like-
I will say, in the last movie you guys did, and I won't give spoilers for that,
yeah.
I didn't figure it out because I went, well, there's no way because that's too obvious.
That's the
Yeah.
same. That's
So
the
they
same
got
thing,
me.
though.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
I think
Kevin, it's kind of to what you're saying. I think that's the other extreme, right? And that doing a mystery is very difficult in a movie.
Yeah.
And I think with these two movies, you have sort of the extremes of either it's so obvious or it's so abstract that you never could have guessed it. And neither one of those are fun. And yeah, the whole ride of the movie is pretty fun. I love Nicolas Cage. I just watched Vampire's Kiss, and I thought, wow, this is
Oh man,
incredible.
He is
I love
unhinged
this.
in that movie too.
Yeah.
So I'm riding high on weird Nicolas Cage performance. Actually,
I do
watched
think
Dream
he's-
Scenario in the middle,
Yeah.
so had a real curve
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
him.
that's
But- I forgot where I was going. I got off on Nicolas Cage.
Wow.
Hey now.
Yeah, but yeah, if you're trying to tell me play along with this mystery, and the answer is magic, well then that's that feels like cheating. I feel like I've been.
I agree.
If
I think
the
it feels like a cheat.
Prestige ended by I learned a magic trick, I think we all would have gone, well, fuck this.
Yeah.
This sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you know what? I'm not going to spoil the Prestige. Go
yeah,
watch
but,
that.
But,
that
but the
ending is
Prestige-
insane.
But also, the Prestige does revolve around things that are very.
but
That's
if you don't,
magic-
but if the end, but if the ending of the Prestige is what Matt said, where it's just like, ta-da!
Is-
You're just
Is
like,
ending
the
of the
reason I'm
Prestige
a
is
magician is because I'm magic.
Right.
yeah,
yeah, but
yeah.
the
right,
ending,
right.
Not to spoil, it's one of my favorite movies ever. But it does revolve around a real magic trick where you're wondering how do they do this?
That's not
It's a magic
the
trick.
that's not the reveal though. That's
Yeah,
what
that's not
he
the reveal.
does because he can't figure it out.
Oh, right.
Right.
That's true.
So, whatever.
You know,
yeah, we
right.
shouldn't even get
But
any
and I-
closer.
and I
You
do
should
think-
watch that movie.
I think that this is very similar. Where it is this a satanic thing? Is this thing that we're seeing in the corners of the room? Is this real? Is this our main character's
Psychosis.
psyche starting
Yeah.
starting to break? All of that stuff. But then when we get the reveal, they're like, no, it is the devil.
I guess I think
It
I think
is-
Hereditary and Rosemary's Baby are two movies that are very similar in the reveal aspect, and I guess those movies are considered masterpieces. This is by many, but I don't think it's on that level. But I mean, those movies come to reveals where you could just say the same thing. Well, what's the deal? Oh, devil. I mean, it's the same thing. Why do you not think those are crap?
It doesn't feel the
because
same.
they're
and I-
better. They're
I don't know
more.
yet.
They're
Because
they're better done.
The
They're
devil
done
wasn't
better.
the answer to the mystery. It might have been what was driving the mystery, but it wasn't like the reveal. Like the reveal was there's been a supernatural thing at play, right? Like that. Like to me, that's the difference. Like Hereditary, Rosemary's Baby, they established from the get-go that we're playing in the world of supernatural, where this one kind of dances around it a little bit, and so
Yeah.
and so like you know what world you're playing in, and ultimately, like, I mean, I don't want to ruin Hereditary. You might want to cut this out or skip forward 30 seconds, but like the reveal in Hereditary wasn't that it was the devil. The reveal was like how involved the family had been the whole
Right.
time, right? And
Or in how hard the mom was working to avoid.
right, like
Which is the same. That's
thing.
the same reveal in Rosemary's Baby. The husband's been working
Right.
with.
Yeah,
it's the same reveal. Yeah.
But the reveal isn't like surprise, the bad guy's the devil, right? Like it's
okay. I
Well,
mean,
and maybe even the reveal.
or the
of what-
reason the bad guy could accomplish this is because magic.
I thought that was the reason. That's why everything in those two movies goes down because there's Satan
But that's
worshiping.
not the. But that's not the
No,
reveal.
because in Rosemary's Baby, which we covered on this show, there's an episode for Rosemary's Baby
and the
somewhere in the
sequel.
archive.
That terrible.
Yes.
TV with the chair or whatever. and
Yes.
the-
I
oh.
did
That
not
we had
know
to,
there
that we
was.
that we could only find like a copy of a copy of a
Yeah.
copy of a
A
copy
TV recorded
on
VHS
YouTube.
rip. Yeah.
yeah, right. But that whole thing is, it is the devil, but it's also. I mean, we watched it at a very certain time in culturally, where it's like believe women, and this woman is.
Yeah.
But that isn't the devil is in that movie, but it's all about the people around her trying to convince her that she's crazy.
Yeah.
and but she's not crazy. Like we find out.
And I guess I saw Maika Monroe as that character where we're trying to figure out, is she crazy? Anyway, I'm not trying to get off on those. I'm just trying to understand. I appreciate the insight because I'm like, it's kind of to me doing the same thing, but I get it. It's different.
Well, and
It
you know
is.
what? Honestly, maybe it is a little bit that like you're doing the same thing. You're aping a lot of other movies and kind of not doing anything different or cool enough or a twist enough that it. I mean, I guess you would say Nicolas Cage. Well, no, I mean he is, which
He's
I
Buffalo
did like
Bill,
Nicolas
yeah.
Cage, but he is doing a Buffalo Bill. He is doing a Hannibal Lecter.
I think that's the problem we're having with more and more movies, though, because I feel like Tom felt like this when we were like, oh, this is so fresh and original, and Tom's like, I've seen this 20 years ago. We grew up with these movies, and now we're seeing, oh, this movie's influenced by Silence of the Lambs and Zodiac. Well, that's because we saw those movies.
Welcome
we
to
didn't
my
see-
world.
Right? So, like, what you're saying, Matt, has been done since the beginning of time. Movies have taken
sure.
things and been influenced, but now we know the movies, and so we're seeing them. But I think that Tom has felt the same way for another 20
It
years,
is-
right? It's just,
I think it is probably insanely hard to make an original movie
Yes.
that is not inspired by or
Not even on purpose,
somewhat
right?
But
You've
even
seen
I
it,
would
it's
say
just
like
derivative
yeah.
of.
And look, if it works for you, then it works for you, right?
Right.
Like, and so like when somebody does it well, like you don't. I mean, we talked about this before. Like if they do it well, it's an homage. If they do it poorly, it's a ripoff, right?
Same
like,
thing with if it's slow, if it's a slog, or if it's a
slow burn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
because
And
I thought X was good, and it doesn't do anything crazy, right?
It does
It's-
nothing
yeah.
different.
It's fairly stock slasher movie.
It is
I
very
thought
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Maxine was a bummer, and it's the
Oh,
same
dang.
thing, but for
But
like
it's
an
the
80s.
third act. It's the third act bummer is the problem, right? Like it's pretty good, I thought. Until
Do you think it was a bummer the whole way
It
through?
reminds me a lot of this movie. Is it's a good-looking, well-made movie. I just
Mm-hmm.
didn't think the screenplay was very good.
fair.
For Maxine, I just thought like it's like wow, she's a badass, wow, cool, and then she doesn't do anything for the last third of the stuff.
so
Just starts
back to the
happening
plot.
to her.
Oh
We're
yeah,
back
okay.
into-
So
yeah, wrap
she's
it up, wrap
she
it.
breaks the code. Like she breaks the code. Well, when she gets this letter, she figures it out. She breaks the code, and the letter basically says, "Don't tell anyone that you broke this. That I was here, or I'm killing your mother."
Cut her tits
So
off.
she doesn't cut your. Well, okay, yes. So she reluctantly ends up telling Blair Underwood that she has broken the code, and then they start figuring all of this out. They're working through the case. At this point, they figure out who he is, and they send the police to catch him.
so the really creepy thing is that she goes to her childhood home. Is it?
yeah,
Right to
Yeah.
the mother.
It's the-
And
it's
she
the
goes,
same
"We
home
kept-
from the beginning
I
of the
kept
movie."
everything the same, and she goes up, and this is a crazy jump scare of sorts. Like this is it kind of comes out of left field. They do this a couple times, but this one especially. She's in a it's quiet. There's no score, I don't think, at this point. She's looking through these Polaroids in a chest, and all of a sudden she gets those psychic premonitions. It's loud
of
noise.
him of
It
that
goes
we
cr-
see. We should say in the beginning of the movie, we see Longlegs only from like the chest down, and they do right before
Because
they
he has
cut to
such
the
long
credits.
legs, you can only see it's
Correct,
right.
and he says he says that. They do a quick cut of him like leaning down, and you see like the from his nose down, and then, but that's kind of the vision that she gets here.
She flashes back to the whole thing, and come to find out,
yeah.
she took a Polaroid, and then the mom comes by and says, "Why are you here with my daughter?" So there's more to that interaction. Did
Right.
any of you guys, when I saw that opening scene, I will say, Tom just left, but as soon as that opening scene happened, and you could tell it was a flashback, I go, "Oh, that's her when she was little." Like I knew 100%.
I wasn't sure. Like I initially thought that it was going to be her,
that's her
but
as
when
a
we
kid.
find out that there are multiple families
Yeah.
that have been murdered,
Right.
I was
Maybe
like,
we're just
maybe it's a
seeing
different
the
family.
first
But
one or
I'm
something.
pretty sure that this is going to be
Yeah.
our main
And not that
character.
I liked it. It didn't ruin anything, but it's just funny because they cut to her and she's doing her stuff and things are off, and that kind of gave me the hint. I'm like, oh well, Longlegs did something to like hypnotize her or whatever. She's a part of this somehow, and so I don't know. And I figured, oh, that's going to be the twist. Where really it ends up being more. It's the mother is the twist. It's
Right.
You know, but we talked about it a little, but spoilers. Back then, instead of Longlegs killing her, she was going to be part of. Is she going to complete the puzzle or something?
The mom pleading for her daughter's life, Alicia Witt, the mother, says, "I will help you carry out these murders if it spares my daughter's
Exactly.
life." Unfortunately, in the process, one of the things that Longlegs will do is he will build these lifelike dolls, and inside the doll,
Little Mithregans.
the three. That's it. Yep, not wrong.
Hey, they have a
inside the doll
life-size
is
Megan doll you can buy, a NECA.
Wait, that's really normal, yeah.
So
Yeah,
if you guys
totally
want to
normal.
grab one of those,
Yeah.
go for it.
Sure don't. Inside the head of the doll is this silver ball, a la Phantasm. But inside the silver ball is like the essence of the devil.
It's essentially it's possessed. It's enchanted. Let's say it's
Yeah.
the thing in the doll is what has the spirit or the enchantment that drives these families crazy, and they end up killing each other. And that's the mystery of, well, how is Longlegs leaving these notes, but there's no evidence. He never steps foot inside the house, so he's possessing them. And I guess what the father writes the letters in. I'm guessing.
No, I think Alicia Witt has the letter.
No, but he mails them. Like, don't they find these letters everywhere? He's got.
Oh, I thought they were finding them in the house. Is that not right?
That's what I thought.
But I thought he left.
I
Yeah,
thought that they
she
were
just-
one. I thought there was one at each crime scene.
That's what I'm saying. So who writes the letters?
Longleg writes the letters, and Alicia Witt leaves the letter
She
behind
leaves it. Okay,
when
gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. So, yeah, they're working all these cases, and they end up figuring out. She breaks the code. She figures out who he is. They arrest him. They have a really. I liked this scene a lot, where Longlegs basically lays out his plot in like the very typical cryptic fashion, where our main character has to figure out what the hell he's talking about.
I'm just glad they didn't go to a bar full of all the people that helped him. And he says, "And you are the one that that implanted the code, and you're the one that left the letter." That's for your Spider-Man callback.
That's a Spider-Man one, yeah, right. And then again, this movie's not gory for the most part, but then Longlegs decides to pull a Joker and bash his own face into the
Pull a Hereditary.
this metal.
even.
This,
Yeah.
I guess that's true. Hereditary does do this as well. Bashes his face, and we think that he ends up killing himself, but I'm not entirely sure
does,
that's
I'm
the
fairly
case.
I think he does.
Yeah.
And I'll say this is another. I've seen this happen in several movies lately. Not necessarily that have come out. It's just happening to me that I see movies like this where once Nicolas Cage's character was dead, I kind of was like, well,
No, that's it for me.
I don't care. I mean, that's the movie. Like, that's the guy. That's the thing. That's the interesting guy.
But I think that's interesting when you take away the killer that opens the movie, though, and stuff is still going down. Then you go, well, wait. Then he wasn't. I mean,
Well, she even says, our main character says, look,
It's not over.
He's got to have an accomplice. He's got there's
Right.
another something. We should say that there was a survivor of one of these crimes. This kid was supposed to be in the house and was not. She was like shipped off to boarding school or something,
Right.
and she was not there that day. And she is kind of broken, and this person has been catatonic this entire time. Harker, that's our main character's name. Harker and
Lee Harker.
Blair
Lee Harker.
Underwood, Lee Harker end up. They're like, look, we can try to go see her, and they're like, the guy who's running the asylum kind of says, look, she had a visitor yesterday, and she has been off the charts talking and lucid, and she hasn't been like this forever.
And the name of the
And look
visitor?
at the Lee Harker, and I do like the way
That was cool.
What I appreciate is that even Blair Underwood was like, look, I know it wasn't you.
But I like that red
You know,
herring.
like,
because
there-
then you're thinking, is she possessed and doing stuff somehow? Like,
Well, we know that she wasn't, because she was like in another scene
Yeah.
with Blair Underwood earlier, so we know it wasn't her. And then the survivor of this atrocity, kind
Really
of like
creepy.
gives them more clues.
but it's
and
really
in the
creepy. And
process-
it's like, I would slit your throat if I could, and
Right.
I'd be happy
yeah,
to
if he
do
told me to
it,
jump out, and she alludes,
blah,
if he
blah,
tells
blah.
me to jump out of a window, I would do it
Yeah.
happily. If she,
Happy as peaches.
Yeah, it was a pretty
Yeah.
creepy little performance. I
Yeah,
thought it
like
was
no,
good.
It was.
there are good things in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, just not the plot
um,
or the main actor.
So after after Longlegs smashes his face in, Blair Underwood is livid because this was our one chance to close all of these cases. Now we can't. Also, our survivor just jumped off the roof, so we've got nothing. So like all of these cases are now closed, and they kind of kick Harker off this case, or I guess they close it, and Harker
Well, at this point, the other agent that's in charge is like
the other gal, right?
is like, don't they say we need to bring your mom in for questioning, and that's why
yeah.
they go back
Oh,
to her house.
they tie something into her mom, and she's like, "We got to bring your mom in for questioning."
Well, it's just that the mom
Oh, because she met.
interacted with Longlegs,
Longlegs.
right? So she's
Oh, that's
the-
right, that's right,
she
that's
could
right,
give
that's
them
right. They know that
information on
much.
what happened back then.
This was the best scene of the movie.
Oh, that was good.
think.
Yeah.
No, this one coming up where like the two FBI agents pull up to the house, and Harker has this moment of vulnerability where she's like, I really appreciate you coming out here with me. And she's like, I wasn't going to let you go out here alone.
You won't regret it.
Yeah, you won't. Wait, are you 2 days away from retirement? Oh, come with me.
So Harker goes into the house, and then all of a sudden
This is a great scene where the camera cuts back to the car, and there's Alicia Witt in her full nun getup
with a shotgun.
And you're like, oh, man, you did.
Yeah.
There's nothing. And she blows this poor woman's face off in the car, which I thought was wild, is she walks around to the other side and just fires another shot. And I was like, how much could possibly be left of...
Question. The Harker and that other cop never went, hey, my birthday's on the 14th.
Yeah,
I
my
thought the same
daughter's
thing.
birthday's on the
Yeah,
14th.
Yes.
I was about to say the same thing. I was waiting for us to get there, but like, you're an FBI agent. You're
But
trained
remember-
and
to
you're the head, and you're like the
investigate
head of the FBI, and neither one of you put together that the
when we find the reveal, we find out that doll, and they say it multiple times, is causing her to forget things. It's blocking her memory, and so I think that part of that is that it's not even letting her think of certain things like that.
not even, but even Blair Underwood doesn't say, "Hey, my daughter's on the 14th."
But when does her birthday come up? Lee Harker's?
Yeah, because he invites Harker to her birthday, or she invites Harker to her birthday party.
Blair Underwood's daughter's birthday is on the 14th, and nobody
That's why
was
they get
like,
the doll.
But why would they know Harker's birthday is on the 14th?
I mean,
It's even if you
because she
if you
got
wanna
visited,
say,
they know she got visited by Longlegs.
yeah, they do figure that out when they find the picture.
Because that's why they want to question the mom. So
I
she
just
has a
don't
picture of her.
I just remember that in the movie they say that because she's still possessed by that orb because that doll still exists.
For sure.
And it says it's
Right.
causing her to forget things. And so I do want to see it again, but I can't remember the order of events, but something may have to do with she is literally having her memories blocked. And so, it's causing her to not remember very important information that would help her solve this case. So, I don't know.
Okay. So so they go to the farmhouse. This is where we get the reveal that Alicia Witt is the accomplice. That her mom, Harker's mom, is the accomplice. I think, does Harker find her doll, and then Alicia Witt shoots it in the head, and this is the first time we see like the little black smoke come out.
The mom's just standing out there with it.
Okay.
And blows
But no,
its head.
that's right. But she shoots it. She does shoot it because
Yeah,
Harker gets knocked out as soon as the little globy thing explodes. Harker wakes up in. We find out we've seen before, but we weren't really sure where it was. But we've learned that Longlegs'
eye.
His headquarters is basically in this room that she could not have access to earlier in the movie.
Which is
so the
super
serial killer that she has, it is a little
I
bit,
do like
little
it.
bit. It is good. I like that they allude to it a little earlier. Like, what is this weird room?
Yeah, it's great. They show you the room. They show you the mom's house, and never do you even think that.
Well,
they could be the same.
but they show Harker pulling on that door.
Well, right,
and it's locked
in the middle of all
and
that.
you're just
but,
like, whatever.
But you would never tie those together
No.
and think that was where he was for years.
He was there the whole time. She wakes up and then she realizes that, I don't know, how does she figure out that there's a phone call, right? There is a phone call.
Yeah.
At the house, and I think it's a premonition. It's part of the whole thing where she says, "You forgot about
Well, it's the
so and so's birthday." Right, it's the devil. So she goes to the Blair Underwood's house. She thinks she gets there in time, and unfortunately, Harker does not get there in time.
Well, she does get there perfectly in time. She could have stopped them if. I mean, none
was
of
too
them are
late.
dead yet, though. Is what I'm saying. Like,
No, they were already off. I guess
no,
that's
they were
true. I
off,
guess
but
she
they
could
weren't
have.
dead, is what I'm saying. Like, she did get there in time, but I guess she didn't. Was she being controlled by anything, or the mom was there?
They don't
I
really
know.
allude to what that is.
Okay.
I don't know, but you're right. They're not dead yet. So basically the doll is already there. It's already taken possession of the mom and the dad. And when the dad so Blair Underwood goes, "Why don't you come in the kitchen and help me with cutting the cake with a knife or whatever?"
Mom says, "I'll be
And she
right
goes,
back."
and he goes,
No,
you
she won't.
I'll be right
"No,
back. You'll
I'll be
still
right
in
back."
the kitchen.
I was like, that's kind of a funny, like that did get a chuckle out
I
of the
do
theater.
think that maybe this movie is supposed to be funny.
There were some funny
funnier
moments.
than because I know there's
dark
like
comedy,
very
like, it's-
intentionally the guy at the hospital
Yeah.
who's like, oh,
Thought I
we
heard
should
my
start taking
ex-wife.
IDs.
Yes, that
that
also got
very, very
when he says, "Do you
intentionally,
check IDs?" and he goes, "Huh, that's a pretty good idea."
clearly intended to be funny. But I do feel like there's maybe it's even supposed to be like a little cheesier and funnier than certainly the marketing led on, and maybe then the movie lets you know. Like, I think in a perhaps a bad way. Like, it's trying to be funny sometimes, but doesn't set it up right, where it comes off just cheesy. Not the kitchen thing. I thought the kitchen line was creepy and kind of funny, but I do think
this
there's
movie's
other
closer
things.
to 7 than it is some insane horror movie, and I think the marketing fails it. Not failed money-wise. It made over $20 million,
Yeah, right.
which is huge.
Yeah,
but,
good for them.
But I do think expectations were heightened, and I managed to avoid all trailers and everything, which I didn't want to know anything. But people were going into it going, "This is going to be the scariest movie I've ever seen."
Yeah,
And it's
it was
more of a
definitely
thriller.
overhyped.
It's Silence of the Lambs, right? It's not a super horror, gory movie, and so people expecting that, I think it's not going to deliver. So, but it got people to see it at least. So I don't know. It was good marketing, but a little misleading, I guess. Like it got
Yeah, I
people
think
into the
that's
movie,
fair.
but
Yeah.
it's just not as scary as people say. I don't think so, and I don't think that's me being like, "Oh, I didn't get scared." I mean, this movie wasn't that scary, right? It's not a.
No, I think it was definitely more of a. It's. I saw somebody describe it as like
It's tense.
the way
Yeah,
it's tense.
it's a thriller.
Yeah,
It can
and
be
they- and that's
unsettling.
Exactly.
What I like about it, it is tense, but they do. Osgood Perkins does things where he ramps it up and he's ramping and ramping, but then doesn't give you the release, like doesn't give you the jump scare, and then that just carries over until So there is a level of tenseness and anxiety about what's going on, and traditionally a movie like this could give you that release, right? They'll give you that jump scare.
Depends
They'll
who
give
you
you
see it
that.
with.
That's true. Well, that's true.
Hey.
That's not good. Not wrong.
That's what RedTube's for.
That's right. But this one doesn't, right? Like he just keeps it going.
It's very tense.
Remember,
I think that's
Remember when they caught the Riddler in the Batman,
Mm-hmm.
and then the
Yes.
movie kept going? That's how I felt, kind of in this.
Well, I do
little
like
bit.
that. They Harker. So Harker ends up. Blair Underwood kills his wife and then kills himself. The daughter, of course, sees all of this.
He kills himself.
Harker kills
Harker
him.
kills
Oh no,
him.
Harker kills
Yeah.
him. Harker kills him. You're right.
And then she kills
And
the
then
mom because the mom's like, "What are you
shoots the
doing?
mom
We
in the
don't
head.
interfere in this stuff." And she comes at her,
and then she goes to shoot the doll, but she's out of bullets.
Yeah.
And then she does a little face, like maybe I like it. Maybe I like that doll. Maybe I'm the devil.
Maybe, and then that's
Maybe.
kind of how we close out.
I was thinking that once she killed the mom, she kind of became the next possessed.
I think she
But it-
fulfilled the thing. Yeah, right. Definitely. Like
Yes,
is a
I think
reason.
she
Definitely is
has taken either.
possible.
It's not a
Right,
happy.
right,
it's
right,
not
right.
a happy ending. We'll say it that
No,
way. But
it is
But
not.
then you hear Longlegs singing that creepy "Happy Birthday" song, so it's pretty disturbing. And
I guess it is Harker's
Correct.
birthday.
yeah.
It is
Also.
Harker's birthday.
Now was it
So-
a happy
Exactly
birthday
it.
though?
I think another maybe problem. I don't know. What was the devil doing? He's just
Devil
messing
wants
around,
to-
just goofing.
I think the goal is to the devil's goal always to me has always been to disrupt everything, not to take
ruin
control of anything,
birthdays.
but to ruin birthdays.
But this just
But to
seems
take control.
so small scale. But maybe that's what he likes. Maybe that's how he has his fun.
Well, who's
Yeah.
to say they're the only ones doing devil stuff? I mean, this is just a sampling.
I guess you're right.
Long
And I
leg
guess
shared universe.
whoa, longer
Doesn't
legs,
Doesn't
longest
Longlegs
legs.
sound like a spider movie?
Oh,
When I
absolutely.
first
And there was
heard-
there was another movie that came out that was announced kind of like at the same time as this, and I forgot which one.
Because I thought there was
for
a
a while.
spider movie with Nicolas Cage, and then this was coming out, and they said
Yeah,
Nicolas
it's
Cage was
Spider-Man
in this.
Noir.
Oh, yeah,
No,
that's right.
but I was confused by that because I thought, isn't there supposed to be a horror movie with around spiders? Or
I think it's already out. I think it's already out.
Arachnophobia.
yeah,
Yeah.
the remake. But anyway,
Oh god.
I don't know.
But yeah, I think I enjoyed. I did like this a lot. I thought a lot of the performances were really good. I did have a couple issues with it overall, but I think a $20 million opening
This
we
has
talk
an
about
under $10
horror
million
and
budget, and it opened to 22.4. And I think the Daily,
cool.
I think it made $2 million on Monday or something. I mean, it's doing numbers.
it's fun. It's funny that we're getting all of these horror movies in the summertime. And
Yeah.
and I was looking, I'm like, I don't see any tentpole horror flicks that are supposed to be coming out at Halloween.
Isn't that it?
But I do
Yeah.
like it's. I
Hey,
just think it's kind of funny.
Am I now I'm kind of being for real here. I don't exactly know what the forensic investigations would have been, and what is this 90 something that this takes place?
94 to 96, maybe.
But the nurse being at every one of these, they would have known, like tire tracks and.
Well, it's interesting if you think about the family that was killed at the Nixon house. Didn't
The
they,
Nixon house?
Didn't they say that it was 6 months later? Like there's in that time rain. I mean, they're not finding these
They
bodies for a long
found they did
time.
not find that farmhouse. They did not
With the
find it because the
maggots and
bodies were so
everything?
No,
decomposed and stuff like that.
that's the family that, it doesn't matter, that gets killed after the Lee Harker gets on the case. That's a different family, I think. And they find him a month later.
But they're finding him. I thought it was more than a month. I thought it was months between.
Well, whatever.
Either way, though, right? So like tire tracks in a month, you're talking. I mean, I think that there's no sign that anything's amiss.
I mean, I guess they didn't find serial. I mean, Ted Bundy killed a bunch of people, so I guess.
Yeah. They I mean,
They weren't
Zodiac,
good
Ted Bundy,
at it yet.
The Boston
I
Strangler.
think the thing that the thing that I take issue, like it's not that serious, but is that they say, and there was nobody in the house, but there was, and she didn't seem that careful or anything. I don't know. It's just if they hadn't had said he's not even there, we know that he's not even there.
Yeah, I know
Is
what
silly
you're
to
saying
me.
though, Matt. When we came to find out that the mom would watch it, I did think that was a little weird because I'm like, why? I mean, I get her setting things up and delivering the doll, but like, why?
But she takes the doll back,
Why does
right?
she have to be
Right.
there? Well, yeah, but why does she have to be there watching it? Because then you're right, that does kind of compete with the idea.
Well,
of,
I think there's a lot of stuff in the Bible about bearing witness.
For sure.
No,
but
they say,
I don't know.
What
Like
they
I
say,
said,
the Longlegs note is there, and we have no evidence of Longlegs. But essentially, she's Longlegs. She's doing the bidding, so
Right.
she was
Well,
there.
that's but we don't get that reveal until Harker
It doesn't matter if
cracks
we get
that.
the reveal. They say Longlegs' letter is here. There's no sign of another person, but the mom was there. Why is there no sign of her there? That's what Matt's saying.
and
that
then
is
eventually
kinda
they're
weird.
like, it must be the accomplice must be someone they trust. But why
Right,
wouldn't
to
they
let
have
into
just
the
thought
house.
Longlegs must be someone like he's there and it's someone they feel like they can trust?
Have you seen that guy? Nobody would
I
trust
do
that
think
guy.
that
Well, they
maybe
didn't know.
I'm gonna watch it again because I do think maybe we would get some of these answers, knowing what we know
Perhaps.
if you watch it.
I will.
But I can't
Agreed.
say for sure.
I will let you do that.
Yeah, I really,
It just got. I don't know. It's just another one of those movies that got me thinking about
Things they don't want you to think about.
the whole right, and it allowed me to
Right,
do
right,
it.
right.
And I don't know what you guys thought about Glass Onion or Knives Out. I thought they were great, and I thought that the reveals were
Oh, yeah.
fun and cool, and I never even it never made me go. But wait a second.
I
what
didn't solve the mystery, but I don't feel like the mystery was unsolvable, right? They tricked
sure,
me.
yes.
Sure,
they
sure,
did,
sure,
but they
sure.
did it fairly. And I think ultimately that's what you're responding to is you
Correct.
feel like they're like, aha, I got you when the answer was a Deus Ex Machina for all practical intents and purposes.
I do think that's how Matt's feeling, and I totally get that. But I also think we have fun trying to solve these mysteries. But I never once in the marketing or the movie didn't say, "Hey, try it." Like they weren't saying you need to solve this, and then going, "Haha, you didn't get it. You're dumb." It's like
I
no one
think that's
told
what
you
the-
you have to solve this mystery. It's you just watch the
Well,
movie and
but
see how
in
it plays
movies,
out.
it's about having fun to solve it. And I think what Tom's saying is with Knives Out or Glass Onion, you can.
You can play along.
It's possible.
Did you,
can
solve
play
the
along.
mystery in 7? Like all these, there's creepy murders, and they have to do like I don't know. When I saw that, I'm like,
do you solve
but that's kind of the thing. Like 7, there is no. They want to know who did it. They find the guy that did it.
It's just a
Well,
guy.
he finds them. Whatever. It's just I like that. I think the ride that it was like setting up for me as I watched it, not the marketing. I did the same thing. I didn't watch any trailers for this at all. It felt like it was taking me in one direction. Now, hey, sometimes I love a hard right turn. This took sort of a meandering.
November's going to be a treat for you.
Oh boy, they kind of were like, oh hey man, wait, real quick, do you mind if we stop here for a second? And I'm kind of going, I don't know. I think we just need to. We're almost there, man. Let's just get there. And they're like, no, real quick. It'll be real quick. And then we're getting off this exit, and we're like, John's like, this seems kind of far. I thought we were just getting gas. And they're like, no, we got to go over to Supernatural. And we're like, well, I know we kind of were seeing signs for Supernatural along the way. We've been seeing way back there. We saw Supernatural Caverns in 50 Miles, but I was like, I didn't think we were gonna like go all the way there, and then we do go all the way there, and then I was like, well, I don't know how I feel about this.
And now we're off
not,
the rails.
It's not
Now
your thing.
we're off.
There's
we're
nothing
off
wrong
the
with that. It
course.
just didn't work for you. But to Tom's point, I think it's a great looking movie. Come to find out, Oz Perkins' brother did the score. That band, I can't remember the name of it now, but that's actually his brother. So I thought the music was really good and creepy in those moments. The cinematography is really good. I mean, it's a great looking.
He's
and
right.
The vibes are
He's
all
right.
there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot there to enjoy. Even
There
if you
are
don't.
things to like. I will grant you that. There was things I didn't that overrode that. So
That's okay.
well, I guess that's it for this one. Let's go around the table and everyone can say where to find them.
This is Joe. You can follow me on the Twitter at JoeyButts, BUTTS21, and on Letterboxd at the same.
This is Kevin. Follow me on Twitter at KevinRBrackett.
I don't want. This is Matt. I don't want any of you finding me. Don't Google it. Don't Bing it.
What about the Real Spoilers?
But what
Patreon?
about these sweet shirts?
That's for exclusive. The Basler screen printing shirt of the month is for exclusive people, and I don't want just any old rigmarole. Can you say rigmarole? I haven't.
I don't know that context is right, but I think it's okay to say. I think rigmarole is a thing, like a not a.
When you
person.
haven't said a word since 1920, you're not sure. You got to go. Ooh, what is that?
That's why you asked me.
Well, can you say
Yeah,
Tom,
right.
can you say riffraff anymore?
I believe so. I don't think it has a racist backstory.
Okay, I don't want any old riffraff buying these Basler screen printing shirts of the month. So
I thought
don't.
it was only riffraff, but I guess I was wrong.
Nope. It's every member of
John
the
Cusack.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
John
I
Cusack.
see a bunch of cats and
I'll get
Jammer
it. I'll
kids
get it.
out there.
Anyway, that's mine.
All right.
Awesome. And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. Find the show online at facebook.com/Real Spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and of course, don't forget our Patreon. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, Catherine is trapped in a well.
Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, cause we already warned you.